The Florida Gators are going to be traveling to Jacksonville this Saturday at 3:30. Used to be CBS, now I think we're ABC. And we're playing the Georgia Bulldogs. This is a Georgia team that is pretty solid. I'm going to throw them on the screen right now, their schedule. They only have one loss, and that's against an Alabama team that is extremely dangerous, obviously, when they came to the Hedges and got the win at Georgia, which was just incredible. They're coming off of a bye week, obviously. Their last game was a good win over Ole Miss, and Ole Miss looks even better after traveling to Norman and getting a big dub. This is a pretty good Georgia team. Like I said, third in the SEC, 6-1. EJ, what's your overview? We have obviously a lot of stats, a lot of fun stuff to show you guys here going forward, but what's your overview on this Georgia team?
Well, I'll first say, here's the deal, guys. Florida, as bad as the sky's falling for us, we're in a three-way tie for eighth place in the SEC right now. We're in a three-way tie with Missouri and Oklahoma. And believe it or not, we're a half game above LSU, who is 2-3 in the conference, which is crazy to think about. But anyway, when you look at this Georgia team, I know we look at we love the PFF ratings and all that, but I always like to compare them to like who we've played so far so that we can kind of get somewhat of an idea. They from a profile standpoint, they're very close to Texas A&M, except they don't have the offensive and defensive line player by player strength power ratings that you have at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is playing better on the line of scrimmage than Georgia is this year, which is why Georgia has had some relatively close games with teams like Tennessee. Obviously, the Alabama game, they did not win that one. And then their most recent game with Ole Miss, they could not control the line of scrimmage. They had to use intangibles and some really good coaching from Kirby Smart to eventually put themselves in a position to win those games late when they were trailing. Um, that in and of itself should be an indicator that Georgia is a significant favorite in this game, is that they've just got a coach in Kirby Smart who, when he first started at Georgia 10 years ago, he was the guy that was criticized for, not making the right calls and making the wrong adjustments. Now he's become one of the best coaches, probably the best coach in the country when it comes to making adjustments and putting his team in the best position to win. Georgia right now is the 25th best defense in the nation, 313 yards a game. We've got the 91st best offense. So, hey, we're top 100. That's all we've been asking for. 363 yards a game. The Georgia offense is 39th nationally with 427 yards a game, but the Florida defense is 41st nationally at 337 yards a game. So that's going to be the matchup that is probably going to be the most interesting to watch. Um, I think when you look at the Florida Gator defense right now, our injuries, particularly in the secondary, are very, very troubling for this game. Gunnar Stockton, the guy has 1,500 yards passing, 10 touch. He's a 10-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio right now, 70% completions. His QBR is second in the nation, so he's playing basically borderline Heisman level quarterback play right now. Um, had they had beaten Alabama, he'd probably be on the short list.
Mm-hmm.
His last game for Ole Miss, 26 of 31, that's 84% completion, 289 yards, four touchdowns. And he's also deceivingly really good runner too. He can run that ball. He is an extremely gifted player um, that doesn't get as much pub as he should get. The other key offensive players for Georgia, Chauncey Bowens, the running back, Nate Frazier, the running back also is really good. Zachariah Branch is the one wide receiver that kind of reminds me a little bit of Concepcion over at Texas A&M. So he's going to be kind of scary for us to handle. Particularly, we got true freshmen out there. And then defensively, they got a few guys. Everett at cornerback and Dalo Jones at corner. Um, and CJ Allen, who's pretty much all SEC defensive linebacker.
Probably one of the best definitely one of the best linebackers in the country, and maybe the best.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's just like pretty much all over the place. So it's kind of like, what are we gonna do with that guy? Um, so all in all, I think this game is going to be determined by the Florida Gator um, defense. Can we create turnovers? Can we create havoc? The Georgia offensive line has not been as dominant as, let's say, Miami or Texas A&M's. But given a week to prepare, given Florida's injuries, maybe they have something to go for. And the reason why I think that's the most important matchup is Kirby Smart is a very smart coach. He knows, hey, if the first few drives we give up points to them because we have to adjust to what they're doing because we haven't seen the types of plays that they're going to be running. We know their tendencies. We know what that Florida Gator defense is. So let's go all in on what is a game plan to attack this defense and score as many points as we can early, knock them out, force them to get in that mentality where they have to make a comeback, and then guess what? All out blitz, we're getting to Lagway, game over. That is the game plan for Kirby Smart, in my opinion. I think we've got to counter that with continuing to score offensively, which is going to be very difficult for us to do. But if we can score and we can contain the Georgia balance with their running attack, we got a shot to keep the game within, you know, striking range. They're sort of an in-betweener between Texas A&M and Miami, in my opinion. And we all saw how those games went. They were close in the first three quarters. Then both those teams busted wide open against us in the fourth quarter. Georgia is probably a very similarly profiled team.
100%, 100%. Yeah, you mentioned Gunnar Stockton. He's very efficient quarterback, man. Is just so accurate at times. Coming into the season, he didn't impress me last year at all in the playoff. He played well in that game. I just wasn't a big fan. He showed some toughness, but that was about it. And he's proven me wrong. I think he's been one of the most shocking quarterbacks for me this year. He is just, like I said, so efficient at times, man. And 83 grade on PFF. His accuracy in decision making is like I said, definitely one of his key points in his game. He doesn't turn the ball over, like you said, only one interception on the year. And it was a downfield shot that was intercepted. Now, I will say this. I feel like he could definitely be more aggressive as a quarterback. He is a little bit more conservative at times. This Georgia offense, it's explosive, but it's really about getting these wide receivers open in space, right? You'll see a lot of that, like you were saying, with Zachariah Branch on the outside. He's a very quick dude. Of course, I came over from USC, and a guy who can just, if he gets an open space, he's really, really hard to bring to the ground. And so I think a key to this game for this Gator defense is going to be tackling these guys in open space. And like you said, Gunnar Stockton also a really good runner there, so that's going to help out their run game. But that Georgia run game is already pretty good on its own. It's a lot better than what it was last year. Like you said, you have Chauncey Bowens and Nate Frazier. And I'm going to show you guys something real quick on PFF on the screen. If you see both of these guys right here, they love to run to the left edge. That is a big, big key to this rushing game on this offense. They really run to that side way, way more to any other part of the line. I guess they like that left tackle. I think they like that tight end there as well, blocking on that left side, but they like to run it out toward that way. So just something to keep an eye on. Like you said, EJ, Nate Frazier's solid, but Chauncey is definitely the more explosive guy. The guy that you've seen break a lot more big runs this season, and can be also dangerous out of the backfield in the passing game as well. They've used him in a lot of different ways. So, Definitely just keep an eye out for these running backs because they have struggled to run the ball still sometimes this season, like you were saying, EJ, in some of these big games. And I think that's why Gunnar Stockton's PFF play action grade isn't great, because you can't really do play action when you can't run the ball on these teams. And I think I have that right here to show you guys as well. Yep, right here, play action. It's not horrible. It's a 70, but his no play actions in 84. And so I think, like I said, a big part of that is the fact that they sometimes have had trouble running the football, but it has been more consistent than last season. So you definitely got to give them that. Just an overall an offense that will move the ball on you, that will find explosive plays, that knows how to get the ball to their playmakers anywhere on the field. So they're going to cause a lot of problems. I think the big thing for them, for our defense against their offense, CJ, is going to be stopping the run. I think that's massive. My key to this game is to hold them to under 3.4 yards a carry. I think we can hold them under 3.5 yards a carry. I think the Gators have a better chance than if they're able to run the ball. Because if you let Bowens, if you let Frazier, even if you let the McCray guy, the transfer from Illinois, I believe, if you let him come in, all three of these guys run on us, we're not going to be able to stop them, because then that, of course, especially if we have Allen, if we have Alonzo Allen on our defense, who's a really good defensive guy, and has done a good job at safety, kind of stepping into that role. He's not great in the pass at all, and he's really good in the run fit. And because he's great in the run fit, he knows that he's good at that. He's going to lean more into his his strength as a defender, and you're going to see the middle of that field open up quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so that's just something we really got to worry about. So I think if we can just stop the run, and then rely on our too high safety that Ron Roberts likes to play to take away those deep shots and force them to drive the ball down the field, I think the Gators can play offense with that defense a little bit for sure. So we'll see what happens there. EJ just showed me something really, really dope before we get into this Georgia defense. So this is like basically our offense against the defense we want, our defense against that Georgia offense. So as you guys can see, the Georgia offensive line has struggled a little bit, and that is something that's pretty interesting. Is they have allowed the run blocking on PFF isn't great, as you guys can see right here. And even their pass block at times has not been great, specifically in these SEC games. So something to kind of, take a look at there. But the run block genuinely has not been great. And I think that's why a lot of these grades for the Bulldogs aren't great on this line. And I would say that they stack up pretty well, EJ, our defensive line against them. So yeah, that's something to look at. And then, like I said, you're looking at these wide receivers. You have, Dylan Bell is 62, Zachariah Branch is 76, and Young out there with a 74. EJ was telling me if you're above a 70 on PFF, you're above average. So something to keep an eye on there. Obviously, here's what I'm worried about, EJ. I don't know if you have it pulled up on your screen as well. You have Grimsley out there, number 26. You have a lot of these young guys out there that are filling in for everyone, all these other guys that are injured. That's not our starting cornerback, and he's going to have to go against some of these really good, listen, this Georgia offense knows how to find the matchups that they want. They're going to know how to get guys on certain dudes, with formation changes and pre-snap movement. And so that's going to be something I'm a little bit worried about. The communication needs to be good, and everyone needs to play at least an average, a decent game to have a shot against this wide receiver group. I'm obviously not worried about Devin Moore. Devin Moore, phenomenal score there of pretty much an 80 on PFF. But everyone, and then of course Graham as well has been really great. Caraway has a really solid PFF, and Gums on the outside has been doing really well. Everyone else definitely has showed some issues. I feel like Sapp, though, is getting double teamed a lot throughout this season. I think that's why his grades what it is. But he gets one-on-one. He could definitely make something happen. So yeah, EJ, do you have anything else you want to say against this Georgia offense against this Gator defense?
Yeah, Sapp has not really been able to. It's sort of like what's it called when you buy one product but you need the other one? It's kind of like when you buy a toothbrush, it's pretty meaningless unless you have toothpaste, right? So sap is pretty meaningless unless you have the D tackle, Caleb Banks, that has been injured all year. If you had Banks on the field with sap, Now, all of a sudden, you've got a situation where Sapp can start to take control. But without him, and we've got Burrow and Britton Bet, they've done good jobs. They've held up, but they haven't been able to really get underneath and really just underneath those blocks and just pummel offensive lines, allowing teams to really handle Tyreek Sapp on the outside. George Gums has been able to do decently well out there, but you hit the head on the you nail on the head. Grimsley at corner, Caraway at corner, and then Allen at safety for us. What are we gonna do when you know Georgia's balance starts to really take control? Georgia is a 50-50, quite literally a 50-50 run pass team. Florida is a 60-40 pass run team. So we're much more predictable. Um, Now, when you go back and you look at Georgia's games and you say, okay, well, how can Florida potentially, keep this game relatively close? We just go look at the Auburn game. Florida and Auburn are very similar teams. Auburn's a lot healthier right now on the defensive end, so that helps. But Auburn, they held Georgia to 79 yards rushing on 2.5 yards per rush on 31 carries. Um, and conversely, ran for 140 on Georgia on 36 carries at 4 yards a carry. If we can have a similar attack where we are not allowing Georgia to maintain clock, maintain time of possession, wearing down our defense, so that in that fourth quarter, it's the dam is going to break like Miami, like Texas A&M. We've got to keep our guys fresh throughout the game, run the ball, make Georgia the defense that gets a little weary toward the end. That's really the only uh, true key that we have. The other very quick thing is we've got a lot more things that check boxes we've got to check off to get the upset than Georgia does to beat us. So you know, Georgia's ability to stop explosive plays is a little bit worse than what it was last year. If you look at that Tennessee game, the Alabama game, you look at the Ole Miss game, they've given up some big passes deep. Maybe this is a game where Lagway and Dallas Wilson have a battle. Jaden Ball's got to get 25 carries minimum in this game. I mean, we got to just pretty much, hey, dude, here's the ball, power run. And then I think Gonzalez hinted at one or two things they're not quite ready for in his press conference. So does that mean trick plays, some surprises? We gotta throw the kitchen sink out there. Even if they tackle us for a loss, I don't even care at this point. Um, that is what I think we've got to do to kind of have an opportunity. I'd really love if Vernell Brown and Aiden Mizell were clearly going to play in this game. It's a big detriment if they don't, because those are two guys that I really think could put some pressure on the Georgia defense, particularly the secondary. I think we're a little bit hampered without those two guys. Um, but all in all, I think we got a shot if we can get to the third quarter and it's a one-score game. I think we got a shot.
Before we do go over to the Gator offense versus the Georgia defense, do you have that? Do you have a defensive key for the Gators in this game?
So the defensive key is going to be stop the run. Um, Georgia's averaging 33 minutes time of possession per game, which is obviously they're averaging the possession longer than their opponents. We've got to stop the run. Um, it's not going to be as difficult to do against Miami or against Georgia than it was against Miami and Texas A&M, because I think the Georgia offensive line has not been as dominant as those two teams. So we've got an opportunity to really focus on the run. The challenge, though, is going to be because our secondary is so injured. Is Ron Roberts going to trust the secondary on one-on-one opportunities and and load that box, or is he going to run a base defense with four linemen and two linebackers, a six-man box, which that's sort of like a 60-40. Georgia has leverage in the run game. Uh, and that's the issue. So on first down runs, we've got to give up 1 or 2 yards max. If Georgia's cranking out 3, 4, 5 yards a run on first down, it's over. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. We've got to stop the run on first down, and that's really our only shot.
Yeah, no, that I totally agree, and that I had the same exact key when I said mine was 3.4 yards a carry or below
Yeah.
for UGA. So yeah, we definitely need to step up in that sense. I totally agree. That's how you let them get comfortable. That's how that play action starts coming out, and they start hitting these deep shots on you, and you can't do anything about it. So I totally agree. Now, let's go into this Gator offense versus this Georgia defense, right? I feel like the Gator defense against the Georgia offense, we know it's going to happen. They're going to play a six-man box. They're going to play the four linemen with the two linebackers and the two safeties. That is what Ron Roberts likes to do. And so that's one thing that I'm really really worried about in this situation. EJ, is like you said, are we going to commit to stopping the run, or are we going to play scared, or not play scared but play safe, right? And
Yeah.
I understand, like I said, especially while actually before we go to the Gator offense, let's talk about the Gator defense real quick. Some of the injuries we have. We don't have Caleb Banks. We don't have LJ McCray on the line, and we also don't have Sharif Denson and Jordan Castell in the secondary. And some other guys are not 100% that have gotten beat up. I know I'm missing Robinson as well. So there's a couple of guys that are injured. There's 3 guys that are injured in our secondary. 2 of them that are, well, I guess 3 of them that are 100% going to be out in Castell and Denson and Robinson. I'm assuming all 3 of those guys are going to be out. So you're relying on a guy like Grimsley, right? He has a 50 on PFF. Alonzo Allen Jr., who has a 72, which is good, but he's really good in the run fit, not great in the pass. And so you're gonna have a lot, and we might have Hanks, come out there as well, Ben Hanks, and some of
Yeah.
these other freshmen. And so that's just what I'm worried about a little bit. And so I get why he wants to play more conservative here because of the injuries, but you also can't let Georgia just run on you either. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of pick your poison type deal. At least on the first couple of drives, EJ, and Kenny, I totally expect them to establish that run. And I think Ron Roberts is going to be perfectly okay with them just running the ball down the field maybe on the first couple of drives, right? Get a feel for it, because at the same time, you also don't want Georgia to come out and throw a 75-yard bomb to Zachariah Branch on the left side either. You know what I mean? And picking on Alonzo Allen or some of these other guys and some of these freshmen. You also don't want that, right? So what would you do, EJ? I'm assuming you'd rather than probably run the ball down the field a little bit than just have a big explosive player right away, right? Like how do you feel about that?
So Roberts, so here's the thing. Coin toss. We don't have a strategy. Well, maybe we do now that Billy Napier's gone. But Billy Napier was the absolute worst at the middle 8, which we've lost half our games because of that. When the when the coin is flipped, the determination of who goes on offense or defense first is very important. If we and Kirby Smart is a genius at the middle 8. So Billy Napier's when he was a coach, he'd always want to defer because in his thought, okay, let's get our defense out there, let's get a stop, let's get the ball back. Oh, and then we'll get the ball to start the second half. Okay, that only makes sense if you have a scripted drive on your first and then a scripted drive with adjustments coming out of halftime, which he never did. I think we averaged a 70% punt rate on drives, the first drives in the second half when we had the ball to start. And many of those 70% were 3 and outs. So it's like you just wasted an entire possession. Ron Roberts' philosophy is going to be bend but don't break. That is his main identity. He'd be an elite defensive coordinator if we had a guy like Caleb Banks and then maybe one more elite defensive tackle so that we could put pressure on the run with just four guys. Because we don't have that, we concede 3 or 4 yards a carry on first down to these really good teams because he's so worried about matchups on the back end, giving up big plays on the back end, that he resources the back end with two deep safeties, cover four, um, uh, maybe a little bit of cover two on third and medium. But, that 1st and 10 is going to be a cover four, two guys deep, 6-man box, a 6 to 9 yard cushion on their, wide receivers. And let's just see if our guys can make a play, and we'll condense things if they get into the red zone and force them to a field goal. The issue with that philosophy is that it's not aggressive. And then over the course of the game, your defense wears out because you're on the field. You're not getting stops and getting off the field. So what I would do in this situation, it comes down to, what do you want to do? Do you want to take a risk and say, okay, let's take a risk. Let's load the box. Let's make Gunnar Stockton beat us. Let's put pressure on him. And let's see if he can beat the pressure, right? Let's put Devin Moore on, who's the guy? Branch?
Zachariah, yeah.
Yeah, they got one other really good receiver as well that,
You got
Young.
Dylan Bell and Young, yeah.
Young is really good as well. So, okay, Colby Young. He's like the big tall guy. So, can't you just put Devin Moore on Branch and just say, okay, good on good, load the box. Let's see what they got. I would be more inclined to do that. The issue with that is Georgia has shown they can score on that. Alabama is the only team that had a very similar philosophy of loading the box, keeping a single high, making Stockton be accurate, but they are a well-resourced and deep defense compared to where we are right now. That's the key. And if Georgia gets to the high 20s, low 30s in terms of points, that's enough for them to win this game. So, yeah. So that's kind of if I were the defensive coordinator, that's what I would do, but we'll see what Roberts does.
Yeah. I'm looking at Gunnar Stockton right now under pressure. Under pressure, obviously every quarterback's going to, well, I don't know. There are some quarterbacks that actually have a better PFF grade under pressure, which is always interesting. It's rare, but it happens. But with Gunnar Stockton, he goes from a kept clean of an 88.1 all the way down to a 52 when he's under pressure.
Yeah.
So just something to think about there. And so here's what I would do, EJ. I totally agree with you. Let me go back to Gator. There we go. I'm loading up the box for me personally because I think that our safeties have already struggled with guys getting behind them already.
Anyway, right.
Exactly, and Kenny was talking about that. And especially if Castell, our safety, is going to be out of this game, why not have Alonzo Allen, who's really good in the run fit, come down, play the run, throw Thornton up top. If he wants to play like Reggie Nelson out there like he did in the Texas game, or I think it was Mississippi State game where he came across, remember, laid out that one guy. If he's going to want to play like that in the back end, throw him way back there in a super high safety. You know what I mean? In my opinion, put him way back there. Let him kind of play up top for, so no big plays happen. And then, you were saying, EJ, throw everyone in the box. Put Alonzo Allen in that box. Let him play the run fit. He's comfortable with that. It's what he's good at. That's personally how I would play it, especially with Castell not being in there. But is Ron Roberts going to do that? No, he's not. He's going to play that too high like you were talking about, and he's going to play conservative, and they're probably going to play that time of possession game on us, CJ, like you were talking about. And that's been a big issue. You know why this Gator defense has not been great against the third down? It's been because these teams get in third and short situations, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2. These are manageable situations because we're playing too high. The box is always light, so they can do these little drag routes. They can do these quick screens. They can run the ball because they are going with the numbers. And when you play a two high, it's hard to, win number wise, especially in the box. It's not going to happen unless you're Billy Napier and play a bunch formation. It's not going to happen. And so they need to we need to play more aggressive. We're not going to, though. So, I mean, like I said, it's funny because we know exactly what our defense is going to do. We don't know anything about what our offense is going to do, and I think that's a good transition, EJ. If you have nothing else to talk about with this Gator defense, we could dive into this Florida Gator offense versus this Georgia. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just say real quick. Georgia has 296 rushing attempts on the year and 216 passing attempts. So they run the ball. They're a run first team. And if we sit back in a base defense because we want to bend but don't break, the defense is going to get tired and Georgia's eventually going to break through and score easily on us. I completely agree with your assessment that we got to change it up. Load the box and say, okay, let's take away that 50% run. And that's what Auburn did. People, go watch that game. Auburn was like, look, we know we can't score on these guys. The refs screwed us with the fumble at the goal line. But let's load that box and say, Georgia, we are stopping that run. And Gunner Stockton, you have to beat us. You're 83% PFF, you're 80% completion percentage, you're all these great things. Prove it. That's what Auburn did. And now Auburn's offense is not good enough to, score more than, 14 points. But it was a gamble that paid off for them. It gave them a decent chance. So I think, to your point, that's what we've got to do. Do the Mississippi State treatment. Put all 12 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage and say, hey, Gunner, beat us, man. You got to throw an accurate deep ball. And here's the other thing that I don't understand. Pass interference is very valuable in college football. Okay? If we get a first down and we're getting pressure on Stockton and he has to throw the ball and then we're holding a guy, I'd rather hold a guy and get pass interference for 15 yards than give up a 50-yard touchdown. Okay? So pass interference is very valuable in college football. Put the pressure, stop that run, load the box, force Gunner Stockton to be All-American quarterback, and see if he can do it.
And Kenny made a great point. Just you have to keep Gunner in the pocket because it's going to be an issue. And so you're right with that, EJ. Rob Bess is in the chat. What's going on, man? Said, I think this is the game the defense let us down. Yeah, I mean, EJ said that was going to be the Texas A&M game, and that was definitely Texas A&M game. And I think you're going to see the same exact issue here, and that's what EJ was talking about, right? Both these teams like to run the football and like to throw and have those big explosive pass plays. And so they kind of have the same philosophy in a way, and that's what I'm a little bit worried about, Rob, in this one. Yeah, I mean, look, we know what the Gators are going to do, EJ. They're going to play it conservative. We know that, and I think that's going to really hurt this Gator defense and time possession. So,
and here's the thing: one interception thrown by Stockton all year. Like, are you kidding me? That's nothing. Freaking bring the house. Make him throw into single. Well, even this one-on-one, I don't even care. They can beat us, but if he throws a pick, I kind of feel like, since he never throws picks, and we throw like, our quarterback's got 9 interceptions, so if he throws a pick, what does that mean? Does that mean, maybe let's lean on the run? Oh crap, they're stopping the run. Like, you got to give them something to like think about. If we're just coming out with the vanilla base defense and quote unquote, taking what the defense get, we're screwed. They're going to roll down the field. It's going to be like, oh, Georgia's humming along. They're a well-oiled machine. No, freaking take the tires out and then force them to drive on a flat and see if they can cross the goal line. But, that was the Auburn game plan, which I thought was brilliant. And I hate that, they don't like Hugh Freeze, but hey, it is what it is.
There you go. All right. This Gator offense versus Georgia defense, CJ. This is going to be definitely the story of the game. Every Gator fan's excited to see this. New play caller. Now, Russ Callaway's now the official offensive coordinator, even though he's not the play caller, and he's kind of overseeing the whole operation with that Billy Napier in his ear. We got a lot we got to talk about here, EJ. We don't know what the hell is going to happen. What we do know is things that Billy Gonzalez has said, which is, like you were saying, EJ, they're going to have a lot of unexpected things, that they're going to open the offense up. These are all quotes, quote unquote. We're going to open the offense up. We're going to give our ball to our playmakers in space. We're going to find matchups that we like and spread the ball out. They said that they're going to spread the field. They are going to, which thank God. We're not only going to go 5 wide inside the 20, which makes absolutely no sense. Literally, EJ, the only time Billy Napier would go 5 wide, empty set is in the inside the 20-yard line.
And then 2 of those 5 were Jaden Baugh and Hayden Hansen, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. or 2 tight ends out there if you wanted to. It's ridiculous, man. So he said he wants to see that. Billy Gonzalez, Billy Gonzalez also says he wants to do more, 3 wide receiver sets, which is something we've been screaming for forever. Instead of all these, 13 personnel and all this stuff, we'll gladly do an 11 personnel all day. We don't know what to expect. We could sit here and try to guess and try to formulate and hypothesize what's going to happen. But EJ, should we expect something totally different from this offense? Or do you think it's going to be just the same offense, but in a different font in a good way? Is there going to be certain things that we're going to see that we're going to like, or is it just going to kind of be the same old playbook and this every single play?
Well, here's the thing, guys. Based on PFF, Florida has played 3 quote-unquote elite defenses according to PFF: Miami, Texas, and Texas A&M. Okay. LSU was elite, but they've fallen off the last couple of games, especially this last game against Texas A&M. They also gave up a lot of yards to Vanderbilt. So I say that to say Florida has faced really good defenses. The one wrinkle that we have is they don't know what the tendencies of the play caller is going to be in this game, because the play caller is different. Kirby Smart understands that, so he's strategizing around. His focus is going to be, let's get our offense to score, which is why I think we got to throw a wrinkle at them and say, okay, you're not going to run it, Gunner. Are you Tom Brady or not? Offensively, the one key that we have is the technical play calling in certain key situations in which Billy Napier typically was very predictable. Whether or not we can execute third and short. Many of I was going back and looking at 1/3, so about 33% of our third downs that we have not converted were 4 yards or less. That is absolutely ridiculous. We should at least have gotten 50% of those, minimum. So the question is going to be, what is going to be the approach philosophically in this game? Now, the other thing is going to be the honeymoon of the honeymoon phase in game of the play calling. What is that? Kirby Smart is going to see how we approach play calling and what is our strategy for moving the football early. Is that going to be sustainable, or is it going to be 1 or 2 drives? Now, one of the things that I like is that the quote unquote scripted play or scripted first drive of the game, that is usually the only time we ever score a touchdown. Billy Napier apparently doesn't script those plays. So maybe if we had, a Russ Callaway, Billy Gonzalez, maybe they script the whole game, for crying out loud. I don't know. But usually when we fall out of those scripted plays and we have to now how are we going to do things? That is what's going to be the issue. Finally, the other issue is some of the player favoritism. You saw the only reason Jaden Ball has gotten so many carries is because Jacoby Jackson's injured. Um, I don't think the player favoritism is going to come into play with Billy Gonzalez. I think he's going to play the hot hand, and I think he's going to go with what works. And so I think you're going to see a valiant effort. Now, what I would love to see if we score first in this game, the whole team go onto the field and do a celebration. You know, what's the swim when you like or like you come off the slide, the slip and
Yeah.
slide through the end zone. The whole team slip and slide through the end zone, get the 15-yard penalty. I don't even care. Give us some energy, and hopefully that energy will last more than just a few drives. Um, we've got to keep Kirby Smart on his toes because when he gets a good feel for, okay, this is what we need to do to beat this team, is going to be game over.
I totally agree. I totally agree. You have to switch stuff up. Um, Good news is I think having this bye week is massive. Because we have all the film on Georgia. We have losses. We have wins. We have should have been losses for them, right? Whether that's Tennessee game or arguably the Auburn game. And so I think you can take a look at that, and you have all that, and Georgia has zero information on you. You don't know what they don't know what the hell you're gonna do. They don't know
Right.
what the hell you're gonna scheme up, and yeah. So just to kind of wrap all that up, EJ, do you think you're gonna see something totally different, or do you think you're just gonna see new things here and there?
I think you're just going to see down and distance play calling be a little bit more sensical,
Okay.
if that makes
Yep.
sense.
Which
Yeah.
which is we need, like, if we get that, I think we're able to move the ball a lot more. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's been a big issue for this team. So I totally agree with that. I think also too you're going to see a lot more. I think personnel wise, you're going to see a big change. I think you're going to see a lot of guys on the outside. You're going to see Mizell playing a lot more. I think you're going to see way more receivers on the field at once. And I think
Yep.
that'll really help out DJ Lagway. One thing I'm really curious with is if this offensive line does struggle against this defensive line for Georgia, which, as you can see, there's a couple of really good guys on that line there. Whether that's Miller or Johnson on the edge, and Allen too that blitzes sometimes. Can this offensive line for the Gators give DJ time? Which they're probably not from the evidence on how this year's gone. And what it's told us. But if they do get to DJ, what are we going to do offensively? What is Ryan O'Hara going to do to try to give him time, right? Or is he going to try to roll him out? Or is he going to do the Billy Napier thing of just keep, letting DJ just drop back and get sacked, all the time and get pressure on him, which is leading to him getting injured. So I'm really curious to see if Ryan O'Hara, what he does and how is really his adaptability to this Georgia Kirby Smart defense, EJ. I think that's going to be really intriguing. So I'm really, really excited to see that matchup. That's probably my favorite matchup of the day. Now, this guy right here, you guys see on your screen, Mr. CJ Allen, one of the best linebackers in the country, if not the best linebacker in the country. Get the ball away from him. Whatever side of the field he's on, throw it
Right.
to the other side. Don't go near him at all. Because one thing this Georgia team does that we saw, like with LSU this year, for example, is this defense flies all over the field. You throw the ball to some place, and those guys swarm the ball. That's just good defensive coaching. It's something that we haven't really seen at Florida a whole lot in recent years, but it's something that a lot of these really good SEC defenses and good defenses in general are coached to do, is see the ball's there, fly toward it. And that's something this Georgia defense does very well. Now, I will say this, the secondary is susceptible, like we were talking about. And I think a big reason for that is the fact that the pass rush has not been amazing for Georgia. Hasn't been bad, but it definitely hasn't been great. And I'll show you guys right here. Pass rush. You're looking at a 56 against Ole Miss, 63 against Auburn, 64 against Kentucky, 60 against Alabama, 55
Wow.
against Tennessee. So their pass rush has not been great this season. And obviously our Pass blocking has not been great this season, though. So that might even out a little bit, but we should have some success, especially if we can scheme ways to get DJ just a little bit more time to pick apart the secondary, because that's the reason why the secondary has not been playing great, is these quarterbacks have been able to sit back comfortably, read the field, go through their reads, and find what they want post snap. So, especially if we got Jaden Ball back there blocking well like he has been doing, and instead of rolling out for a pass, I think we can have some time in the pocket here for DJ Lagway to make some moves, especially if we're doing a 5-wide DJ, or, maybe not 5-wide with, because Jaden Ball won't be in the backfield, but, maybe a trips or something, or having 3 receivers on the field will be just amazing. And give DJ, more, open up the field more and give DJ more space to make the throws and give him more time. I think this Gator offense can start clicking there. So I think that can be a really big key there too. So like I said, in general, EJ, this Gator offensive line versus this Georgia front 7, I think is going to be really, really important. But what I'm doing if I'm the Florida Gator offense is I'm coming out here on the first drive. You can script up whatever the hell you want to script up. But I think first I'm saying, can I run the ball on this Georgia defense, this Bulldog defense? If I can, yay. If I can't, whatever. I now want to see how my pass protection is, right? And like I'm not saying that you don't not want to score on the first drive, because you definitely do. You want to, like, this is a game where you want to start, strong early. I'm just saying, I think also too, I'm, as an offensive play caller, I'm going, okay, how, like, what does this matchup look like with this Gator line versus this front 7 for Georgia? And I think that's something that O'Hara and Callaway are going to be really, really paying attention to these first couple of drives here. So I'm not really experiencing anything too crazy, in the first couple of quarters. But I'm really curious to see how they adapt at halftime and into the second quarter, and into, especially, like I said, into that second half of the game, on how to keep DJ, give him a clean pocket, maybe roll him out, give him time to read the field, and just really curious on these different formations that they're going to bring forward. And yeah, just excited to see, Jaden Ball. I think you're going to have to obviously keep these linebackers honest. And I think a way to do that, obviously the best way to do that, is to run the football. And so my key to the day is have Jaden Ball over at least 4.9 yards a carry, which I know is a lot. But I think if he can get 4.9 yards a carry, we've seen him get way more than that in some games. I think that the Gators are in a pretty good place to maybe do some play action and bring up those safeties and take some shots deep, especially if we're going to be spreading the ball out like Billy Gonzalez is talking about. You guys got to think, man, our interim head coach is a wide receiver coach. He wants his boys to ball out. And I think that's why you're going to see them throw the ball down the field a little bit here and create some big plays. So what is that going to happen? I don't know. Like, this is like, we'll have way more information going into the Kentucky and Ole Miss game and all that. At the moment, I have zero idea how this is going to happen, what's going to go down. EJ has zero idea how this is going to go down. Gator Nation doesn't know what the hell is going to go on. I think that's what's exciting, though. What I'm saying is there is a big possibility this offense can click. This Georgia defense is susceptible to big plays, and honestly, the Gators can do a good job in time of possession in this game too, which will be really, really important considering this Georgia offense versus this Gator defense. There's a chance here the Gators can win this football game. I'm not saying they're going to. There's a more of a chance that they're not going to, but there is life here. There is opportunity, and it's going to come up. It's going to really come down to this play calling on if it's going to happen, and this Gator line versus this. The battle's going to be won in the trenches, which is always the saying that people say, but I think that's even more relevant and more true to the game 6 days from now, this Saturday in Jacksonville. I think the last game in Jacksonville, by the way, for a couple of years, right? I think they're doing the renovations, so we got to go to Atlanta and then go to Tampa.
Yeah, Atlanta then Tampa. Yeah.
Why not do a home and home? I don't know. Whatever, it's fine. I think it'd be cool to do a home and home with Georgia. I don't know. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing. So we both have had 91 third down attempts. Just a fun fact. Florida has converted 29 of them. Georgia has converted 42 of them.
God.
46% to 32%. So the reason I'm bringing that out is the team that wins this game is going to be the team that wins the game. I almost guarantee you. If Georgia just comes out and just says, screw it, 3rd and 3, power run, smart play, we got it, dump down to, Frazier in the flat, easy conversion, and we're struggling to figure out What's the play call, coach? 12 men on the field. That's the play call. Um, we are going to get rolled. And who is it? Rob in the comment, he's exactly right. They don't, it's not a pass rush from a numbers standpoint. Like a pass rush would be anything more than four guys, right? They disguise, so they'll bring four guys, but it'll be like a corner and three linemen, or like a
Simulated
linebacker.
pressures, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, different. And so it's kind of like, are we gonna know who that is and pick it up and give Lagway time or not? Also, is Lagway healthy enough to extend plays in this game with his legs? But that's sort of the thing. The other thing I think that is really important in this game, guys, red zone attempts and scores. Georgia has been in the red zone 31 times this season. They've scored 24 touchdowns. Florida has been in the red zone only 23 times this time, but we've scored 15 touchdowns. So that's not terrible, but Georgia has gotten into the red zone a lot more um, than we have. We are 23 out of 22 though, or 22 out of 23. So we've gotten into the red zone 23 times, we scored 15 touchdowns. We've gotten 7 field goals. There was only one time where we didn't score, and that was a turnover. So, um, hey, all I'm saying is if it's a field goal battle and we can get into the red zone and field position, Georgia is a better punter, 47 yards to our 44 yards a punt. Um, we got a shot.
Yep, I agree. No, one more thing too that I forgot about. I forgot to mention. Another reason why Jaden Ball needs to get 4.9 yards a carry. We have had trouble being in third and long situations, and EJ kind of talked about that a little bit
Yes.
earlier. And so I think if we're able to get 4 yards on first down, man, put us in a 2nd and 6. The possibilities are endless. You could do a lot with that. And so we have not been able to do that all year. I don't know where I can find this statistic, but one thing that Georgia's offense has done a very good job at is putting their offense in good positions. They've been in like a lot of third and shorts, and so they've been good
Yeah.
there.
Long story short, guys, Georgia is a better team, top to bottom, any way you slice it. The one thing I always go off of when I'm predicting games is who's got the better quarterback, who's got the better defense. And if one team has both, that's the team that's going to win. Okay? Now, the interesting thing about this game is Gunnar Stockton, from a PFF and statistical rating, is better than DJ Lagway. And I think everyone who has watched both of these teams play this year will agree to that he's the better quarterback. The question is, how do you make him uncomfortable so that he's not the better quarterback? And how do you make DJ comfortable so that he is the best quarterback in this one game? But coming in, Stockton's the better quarterback. When it comes to defense, I know that we have statistics that are saying that we are currently the 41st best defense in the nation, whereas Georgia is the 25th best defense in the nation. Um, and so technically, Georgia has the better defense in the nation. We have played a slightly more difficult schedule, and we've got a lot of injuries. It's the injuries that give me pause in this game. I'd be very, very surprised if Florida won this game. Okay, very surprised. Shocked, even. What I would love to see is our interim coaching staff coming out and just throwing balls at the wall in this game. Just saying, hey, we understand we're outmatched. But let's go ahead and just throw everything, caution to the wind, throw it up there on the freaking, uh, you know, throw paint on the freaking wall, see if it's art. you know, uh, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Let's see if this is, treasure for us. Um, and let's just go out there and give it everything that we have. And I think if we can do that, I would be happy even if we were to lose this game. Um, I think this game is going to be very similar to last year's game, actually. I think we're going to give them a good fight early, but because I just don't see. Now, if we come out defensively and they got 8, 9 guys in the box and they're blitzing and they're trying to stop that run, okay, we got a much better chance than I thought. But if we're coming out there with that vanilla bean defense, vanilla, so vanilla, it's just there's no coffee. It's only vanilla. Okay. We're going to get worked in the fourth quarter. And I'm going to go by the same final score as last year, 34-20. Just because I think we'll score, we'll get 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, but I think Georgia will, they're going to score more. They're going to score 4 touchdowns. They're going to double our touchdowns, and they're going to run away with it. But I'd like to see us put up a good fight. Now, if we were healthy, I'd be a lot more confident in us putting up a good fight. But you can't have all these true freshmen out there and, hoping that, we're going to stop, all these guys that they got at Georgia. Just not going to happen. But hopefully we can give it all we can.
Yeah. No. I'm with you there. Everything you said, I agree with EJ. I don't think this defense is going to be able to come out there and play aggressive. I think you're going to see Ron Roberts play conservative, especially with all the guys out on the field. And because of that, I think Georgia is going to push the ball way down the field a lot. I think the Gator offense will find some success. I feel like we've been averaging, around 20 points per game? I'm assuming it's something like that. Maybe like 22. I think the Gators are going to hit that 20-point mark at 20, but I think Georgia's going to score 35. I just think we're playing vanilla defense. It's not going to be able to stop them. You know what I mean? Like, literally, you cannot beat them while doing that.
No.
And so that's why I have Georgia winning 35-20. But I do think you're going to see a lot of good things from this Gator offense, though. I think you're going to see some nice moments. I think it's going to lead into an interesting last, four games?
Yeah, if we put up a good little fight in this game and show some like a gator got bite. Hey, I think we got a good chance in these last 4 games to do something.
And it turned into a pretty big gauntlet right there or the 2 big games back to back with Ole Miss and Tennessee. Those are 2 rough ones, man. I'm going to the Tennessee game. I believe that's going to be fun. The last Tennessee game in the swamp until 2029, which is ridiculous. So that's going to be great, dude. I hate Tennessee. But yeah, no, it's going to be good. So there you guys go. EJ, score you 34-21 or
34-20. We're definitely gonna. Our score is definitely gonna include multiple field goals. Just know that.
Oh yeah,
okay?
Oh yeah. That's funny that I went 35, you went 30. There you go. So we're right there near each other. I'm 35-20. You guys let us know your score predictions down in the comment section down below, man. We appreciate you guys. Go Gators.